Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Endgame podcast. We are on episode 2 with a friend of mine, Evan Tipton.
Hey guys, I have my thing muted. I was not ready. It's my bad. We're
Oh,
here
it's
now
okay.
though.
It's okay. Go ahead, give him the spiel about yourself.
Basically, I'm a junior in high school. I'm 17 years old, and right now I'm working on a clothing brand, mainly through Instagram. It's called Akimbo, and kind of just I've always had a thing for clothing and design, and just like I don't know the whole idea of fashion. Ever since I was really little, I always wanted to dress myself, and it kind of just grew from there, and got more passionate about things, got more knowledgeable. Now I'm here with a clothing brand, so kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, it is. And we've talked in the past. This is your third brand, and learning from the past. But what do you think is the main takeaway that really sets this attempt apart?
Ooh, what sets this attempt apart from the first two is probably just that I have the knowledge from the first two. I know why they failed, so in my head it makes me think that this one can last more. Because like the first two failed because my own shortcomings, really. Just not being prepared and not knowing enough, but also I was young. I'm still young. So it's like this one's different because I'm still coming back to it. I guess it kind of shows the dedication and like that I actually care, and it kind of also it's like I just have that knowledge going into it. So that would be what I would say sets it apart from my first two brands.
Yeah, and like obviously personal shortcomings and all that, but what really was the main things that you learned from that? Like, was there quality issues? Was it just lack of communication to the market?
My issues the first two times I started every brand I've started with one friend each, and the first time through we were really good friends, but we both had very different views on fashion, and that kind of got in the way. And then really the second time it was a similar thing, but then he ran into some very personal issues of his own, and that kind of just distracted him from the goal, and then it slowed down. But this time through,
It wasn't like something
like,
you could keep up on your own.
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of work. It's definitely not something you can do on your own. It's not a one man
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
But as well as that, I'd say like this third one now, the guy I'm working with is basically giving me entire creative freedom. So that's different from the first two, where I don't really have to worry about that issue coming up. It's
Yeah.
all like it's what I want to do, and I like that a lot because I feel like I have a lot of big ideas, and it's definitely not for everyone, but it's one of those things. It's like you have to be different to be different, you know.
Yeah. So if you don't mind going into that, how are both of your roles working in this?
So on this current brand Akimbo, my role pretty much, I'm the creative mind of it. I came up with the name, I came up with the design so far. I so far I've taken most of the photos. It's kind of like it's my creative mind, and he's more like the business side of things. He works more on like the advertising and like spreading our awareness and like the money and all that. That's more
Yeah.
he's like the business mogul, and I'm like the creative mind, you know.
Gotcha. I was wondering if it was going in that type of direction.
It is this time, and I actually see that. So that differs from the past. My previous brand before this one, I was the money and the creative mind, and that was definitely a conflict of interest. Trying to listen to someone else's ideas, I was the one paying. Uh,
Yeah.
Definitely, it was not always the easiest.
Yeah, yeah. So since he's more into the business side of things, is he as into fashion as you are?
Definitely not. He doesn't really like not in like I don't mean it in a mean way, but he's not really about like that fashion and dressing nice and stuff.
Well, I
Just
don't think I don't think it is me, and I think you need that.
yeah, and I think that he came to me actually to start it because he wants to be a business owner in his life,
Hmm.
and he just I don't know. He says he thinks I'm talented, and he liked my designs, although it's not the kind of thing he would wear. He sees why people would wear it and why there's a place to sell it. So it was
Yeah,
kind of like
I think that's good on him for seeking you out, noticing that you've tried this before and it's something you want to do.
yeah, it definitely made me feel really good, and it was an opportunity out of the blue. It was definitely like a downtime on life, and it was really cool to have that just kind of come up, just seeing where that's going to go. And like right now, obviously with the coronavirus going on, we've slowed down a lot because he works at Kroger, so we don't really have a lot of time to
Ooh,
discuss things and get stuff done
ooh,
because obviously grocery stores they're booming right now.
oh yeah.
So unfortunately, we're kind of on like a brief hiatus early on, which is probably not a good look, but it is what it is. The world's a mess right now, anyways.
But
But it's not
even
that
right now, it's kind of just building that presence and
for
all that.
sure.
So.
I mean, I'm 17, he's 18. We're just trying to live a dream, just see what we can do.
Yeah, just get things moving and all.
For sure.
So what are you looking at quality wise? Because I know you have a sweatshirt and you have that main design that you have, but like, what's your quality on that? Where do you both stand? Are you looking to, once you get to a certain point, you're going to have to like possibly sacrifice for just profit and all that. It's just
So see,
inevitable. So
I agree. Profit is important, but hopefully, I would like to take the brand in a direction one day where we can work on higher quality pieces and use better methods than most of the fashion industry does right now. Because as much as I love fashion and all of that, the industry, it's a gross place. It really is. There's a lot of horrible things going on. I don't feel morally right contributing to that for my own benefit in any way. If I could
yeah,
bring a passion I love and then help
mhm.
change it and make it better for the rest of the world, I find that way more appealing than just sticking to what everyone's doing right now.
Yeah, I kind of bring that up because I know that you've researched it and all that. But I mean, eventually, just to get off the ground and like, obviously, for now it's a passion project, but eventually you want to start making some money. So like, do you think that in this earlier stage that it's not off the table that it might go in that direction for a bit until you have said following?
Oh, for sure. I mean, to get off the ground, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I don't think the small number of pieces we produce are going to harm the environment or harm people, workers, or whatever, any more than they would be with or without us. So for us to get off the ground, we're gonna have to stick to very base level pieces and not always have a say in quality. It's like right now, it's not like we work with a factory or anything. We just work with a printer.
Yeah,
We use generic, already made hoodies. So it's like, I mean, you have to start somewhere. We can't just hop off the ground with a thousands of dollars industry and have a factory to work with and make our own decisions. We can't really do
yeah,
that right away. So
you're not trying to
definitely have to
sell
make
the
sacrifices.
Nike Dry Fit, right
No,
away.
no, no. Exactly. You don't have a staple thing like that immediately. It doesn't start like that.
Yeah.
But
So
like, there's also, I mean, there's plenty of brands that never even leave that. There's many streetwear brands that's what they just print on the same quality pieces we print on, and it's just about the name. I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to be a stagnant brand. I don't want to stay
yeah,
that way. Long term, I'd like to have more say in it and possibly find a better way to do things, assuming we grow to that level.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what the fashion scene is like around here. I mean, obviously people were into it, but you don't hear about anyone like, ooh, fashion designer from Dayton area. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're definitely not a fashion mecca of the world. There's minority groups who are into whatever style they're into, and like even like just going to school, like I get looked
Well,
at differently the
there's
way I
tons of
dress
different
compared to
groups.
everybody else. And I don't even dress that extreme. I'm not even like I don't have the money to be into the fashion I'd like to be into. But it's just
Yeah,
very interesting. It depends where you're at, because like assuming I do want to pursue this as a career, I'll definitely have to have more presence and time in much larger cities. If you go somewhere like New York and stuff, it's entirely different. Like it
yeah.
is a different scene than the Dayton area. I mean, it's a cool place we have here, but it's definitely not a fashion place.
hmm So, do you think that should the brand take off? Do you want to like keep it here and have like your roots in Dayton and like build that following here, or do you want to try to jump into a bigger market?
Ooh, that's one of those. That is definitely a decision that would have to be made at a much later date.
Yeah,
I would be
because
interesting
scaling
to
is
see what we could
always
do holding it here and kind of representing the local area, but also the the possibility of that even happening would be very low
yeah.
because I mean there's just nothing to build off of here that we can't like work with people. We don't really have a market here per se,
hmm
especially like if we kept progressing, becoming more fashion forward and more like pushing the limits and stuff, doing what things I'd like to do. I don't think it would
Yeah.
have much of a market here.
And see, I don't know, it would be interesting to test. Maybe not on this brand because you're trying to, it's the first one that's working fairly well for you. But like, should this go and like start building up and whatever, you can take that in, the bigger direction that's going to guarantee its success. But then to like say start something different and say, hey, we're from this group and we're from this area and we're going to keep this brand right here, like local for you. That would be interesting to see how that works.
It'd be really interesting. And like, like once again, I like the idea of like just the local market in general, support the small businesses around you.
Yeah,
I enjoy that idea. I think that's a very needed thing in our society because everything goes so big to just mass production and everything's just about more, more, more. But also from a business standpoint, not really a moral standpoint, there isn't much place for that, I don't feel like, because the people who want to support local businesses aren't the same people who have the money to buy expensive, fashionable clothing. It's going to be like, I mean, like, people don't want to stand out in a small area the same way they want to stand out in a big city, and people just
yeah.
have different income levels and such.
But I think that you could make something that's, competitively priced at like a small business level, that people still want to, say flex with. You know what I mean?
There's always, I mean, like, you could do lines of things too. Like, that'd be an interesting, have like a local line and then like the national level type of thing. That's always a
Yeah.
possibility. I've considered that idea before with previous brands. I think that'd be a cool concept. Once again, we're not there yet. And also, I'm not sure legitimate, like, the legitimacy of that idea, but it is definitely a cool idea and it'd be something to explore for sure.
Yeah, 'cause there's a lot of numbers and all that go into it, and it's just getting that start first before you really can like think about these things. But
Yeah, we have a
so
long way to go for sure.
yeah, but I mean, really, as long as you stick to it and like the persistence is key in the fashion industry from how we've talked.
Persistence is key with anything you do in life, I feel like, and that's something I'm still learning and working on as myself. As a 17-year-old, it's hard to find persistence within my life, but it's something I need to definitely work on and keep going because I feel like I have ideas that I would like to put out. It's more of a matter of finding the energy and space to put them out.
Yeah, because I mean, like being a track and cross country runner and all that, you don't get results unless you're putting the work in and all that. So like I've
Oh,
kind of picked up
definitely.
on that early, but at the same time, when it comes to something like that you're passionate about, like say a clothing brand or a business in general, if you're not seeing those results, then that can just set you back like mentally.
Oh, that's a huge setback. So, like, for example, so my last brand was, instead of calling it last brand, it was called Wake Up. And with Wake Up, there's we put out like a very like basic level design, and it did really well. We sold like 30 or 40 of them. It was really well received. People liked it. And then the next one I put out was a lot more creative and more the style and direction I wanted to take it. And it absolutely tanked. We sold like two, and nobody liked it. And that was just a huge setback in my mind and my like energy with the brand, seeing it go from going so well to doing what I wanted to do with it, and just seeing it just take a halt like that.
Yeah,
Definitely, that's a huge setback. And like with this one, we didn't have a hot start. Like I've had the previous two, I sold like 30 my first run each. I was really proud of it. It got me motivated early. This
yep.
one, I don't believe we sold even 10. And there's definitely various reasons going into that. But also, I think
Now was
maybe
that
it's a
was that
good
on
thing.
release date or up to now?
That's up to as of the last time I checked. Life has been weird. It's not been my focus. It's not been his focus. We're kind of
Yeah,
just taking a pause right now until things get back to where they need to be, where we'll focus our energy back where it needs to go. But
definitely like the whole situation just right now is throwing a whole bunch
yeah,
of
the
fun stuff
entire
off.
world's kind of in a mess. Money's tight for people, and there's just a lot of other priorities right now. For sure,
Yeah.
it's
So
a
like
cool hobby, but like it's not a priority number one at the moment. I'm 17, you know.
yeah. So I kind of want to switch this. We talked about clothing and all that. Or not clothing. We've been talking about clothing the whole time. Quality.
All
So
right.
we've kind of touched on like the quality and all that. What do you think of like animal skin and all that in like higher end fashion? The exotic side.
Oh, so you're thinking like my views on animal rights, basically?
I mean, not necessarily animal rights, because everything dies. You eventually are able to
Yeah,
use
yeah.
it.
So I mean, I don't
Just say,
personally like the style of it in general. I think it has its place historically. I think it has its place culturally. I think it has its place for certain people. And I think that using everything down to the skin would be better than just wasting the skins, because then we're going to kill animals for food anyways.
Yeah.
But I also don't think killing animals specifically for their skin is a great idea. And I don't know. It's not like I don't support the idea of hunting animals just for the skin.
Oh
But if
yeah,
there's
yeah.
animals killed anyways, I do like the idea of using it all. Maybe not for clothing personally, it's just not my taste. But if that's what it's used for, that's what it's used for.
Because
Don't
I
like
bring that up.
expect to see animal skins coming out from me anytime soon, you know? Like that's not really
Dang,
my
dang.
direction.
No, because like I think of like the different shows, like you see like the Florida Swamp People Order. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have.
So like, they're taking the alligators and they use them for meat, but they're also sending the skins and all that for like clothing and different stuff.
Yeah, and
So
I think
I think that's the right way.
if you're gonna kill the animal, you better use the whole thing. Like that's like that like Native American idea, I guess. Use as much of it as you can.
Yeah,
Make its life worth taking, I guess. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, I see it makes you unhappy. I get it.
yeah. So like, what's your biggest like qualm with like big fashion,
Ooh, okay. So in fast fashion, my biggest qualm would
or
be
if there's multiple, go for it.
it's got to go down to child labor and then just the insane amount of pollution, dude. It's so bad on the earth, and it's just like really fast. The entire fast fashion industry is my qualm. Fast fashion, it was a cool idea, but it's just not worth it, really. People want to look cool real quick, and then it's just not worth it. The side effects just make it so
And
horrible.
to specify, like, when you say fast fashion, you mean like the pop-up thing at the mall that has the like t-shirts with like current memes and stuff on them.
I'm talking fast fashion. I'm not talking that. That is more sustainable than fast fashion because those T-shirts are being typically made to order, so people pay for them, they print them on and send give it to them type of thing. That's gonna be a lot more sustainable than like H&M or Forever 21 type of thing, where basically they see what's going on runways and they see what's coming out in the big fashion world, like real fashion, and they try and make their own cheaper versions of it quite quickly, and they just
Yeah.
cut a lot of corners, use a lot of questionable practices, abuse a lot of people, and abuse the hell out of the earth. It's I don't know. I don't see how it could possibly be considered worth it. And like, yeah, I've shopped at H&M, but that's something like I don't do that anymore. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the idea. You want to look cool, but also like think about is it worth looking cool if that's what you're representing? You know what I mean? Like that's where I
Yeah.
guess that's one of the reasons I love fashion so much. Like just through how you dress yourself, people can get so much
It
from you
carries a certain like air to
without
it.
ever meeting you. People can tell a lot from how you dress, and like you can express yourself so many ways just through clothing, like ways words and like actions could never carry. And I just think it's an interesting way of self-expression, and it's just something I'm into. So I feel like I try more and more as I grow and realize things mature to know what I'm wearing to an extent.
What's your hot take on like posers?
Posers, you mean like a kid wears a Thrasher shirt but he never touched a skateboard?
Yeah.
Personally, I couldn't be that guy. Like I like soccer stuff, but I've never played soccer. Why would I wear that type of thing?
Yeah.
I think if that's what somebody wants to do, more power to them. Personally, it's not my style. I feel like you're representing yourself, so why would you represent yourself as something you're not? I don't know. But also, people have a lot of issues with that sort of thing. So if it makes them feel better about themselves and makes them happy, at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. I mean, that's really what everything's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you see certain things like, and it's usually with the like older, like more nostalgic things. So like, you see them and they couldn't tell you, three songs by said band, but the shirt goes well with their outfit. So like,
Okay,
does it matter? You
so
know what I mean?
it's like vintage band tees. I personally love those a lot. I don't
Yeah, I
know
think it's
a lot
great.
about the history of it, but I definitely enjoy the music, and I'm not one who's gonna wear like I'm not gonna wear some hardcore metal band that I would never listen to. I'm not gonna wear their merch, but I get the value in it. I think it's cool when people reuse something like that, like an old shirt from the 80s or 90s that was laying in someone's garage. Right? I think that's really cool. People can find value in that now, and also just the aesthetic of it, the way it looks. I think that's really cool. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you like music, I feel like it's valid for you to wear that shirt because whatever you're wearing, it contributes to music in some way or another. I think
Yeah.
that's one that's a little bit different than like wearing like a soccer jersey or a skateboard T-shirt or something.
I mean, definitely, because, like, I know in the different music groups and all that, people were just like, you don't even know them. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've caught a lot of flack for like so like I bought a like 95 Def Leppard shirt one day, and my friends like you can't even name 5 songs by Def Leppard, but like I like Def Leppard. I'm not gonna skip a Def Leppard song just because I don't know the history doesn't mean I can't support it. And also like it's the same concept as recycling. I'm doing something good for the earth. I'm looking cool in my opinion, and I'm representing something that I enjoy all at the same time. I don't see why it's an issue if I know the history or not.
Yeah. Then what do you think about, like, while we're on the topic of like bands and all that, what do you think of like the Kardashians or whoever making like shirts that are like rip-offs of like older logos?
Okay, so I like bootlegging. A lot of people hate it. I think it's really cool when people can take something once. I like the idea of reusing stuff. So even if it's not a tangible thing, like just using someone else's art, but in your own original way, I think it has its place and it's cool. Now, straight up ripping it off and like making it just like trying to convince somebody it's a real thing, I don't like that. But using someone else's style of art and turning it into your own, I think that's really cool. I respect it personally. I think it looks good. It's a cool idea, and it's like it's kind of like I mean, really, it's the ultimate form of respect, in my opinion. For someone to like your artwork so much that they want to use it themselves, like what else could you even be told besides that? Like that's gold. If someone came to me, was like, "Hey, I want to take your design but make it my own," or like, "I really like your style," that'd be like sweet. Like that is amazing. That's so cool that like you can take something and take it so many different directions, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I just kind of think like when they're stealing the design over something that, similar to like the poser thing, they don't necessarily know anything about. I don't know. I don't exactly care for that.
So just because you don't know about it doesn't mean you can't appreciate the way it looks. Sometimes things look cool, and that was like something that it's kind of hard for me to have a brand sometimes because you usually people want depth to it. People want to know what they're representing. Like I've talked about this
Hmm.
idea the entire time so far. But at the end of the day, sometimes things just look cool, and they don't have to always mean something. Everything doesn't have to have a deeper meaning. Sometimes it's just this shirt looks cool and I like it, so I'm making it. You know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
always have to be tied into more.
I
With
don't
that being
necessarily.
said, I think it's important to be able to tie stuff to more. If I want a sustaining brand, I'm gonna have to make it more than just it looks cool and it's that. But it definitely has its place. If you're someone like a Kardashian, you can definitely make something that looks cool and just sell it because it looks cool.
Yeah. All right. At the same time, the people that are doing it, say, we'll just stick with the Kardashian example. What they may rip off, because like I'm thinking of one example where they rip off like the Exodus logo, which was an 80s metal band. So, it's not exactly the Kardashian scene. So like them taking the designs of stuff that they might not be familiar with, I think works for them because their audience and who they're trying to sell to isn't, familiar with it. They're on the same knowledge level.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know. I think it has its place. I understand why it can upset people at face value, but in my opinion, if you look at it deeper and from the artist perspective, really like whoever designed that logo should feel proud. Some rich and famous person wants to use it again for themselves. Obviously, you did a good job, and I don't know. I don't think that you have to know everything of what you're wearing, but I think it's also an easy way to make yourself look like an idiot.
No,
It's a
definitely.
fine line for sure. And like at the end of the day, it's not coming down to very specifics. You're gonna have to like if you want to give me an example, I could tell you more of my opinion on that. In general, though, I think it has its place for better or worse.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, because there's definitely like that line where, the artist is just trying to or the person is just trying to like put something out there and get their product into other people's hands. And then there's the line where, the other people that are actual fans of it, to where they get mad. And it's really just a matter of like, is it worth it to the person to like deal with the pushback?
All right, so I have a question for the kind of people who are like the actual fans, so if you're an actual fan of something, right? Say you're a diehard Metallica fan, and some teenage girl who's never listened to Metallica song is wearing a vintage Metallica shirt. Is that
You go up
not
to the
interesting? Is that not interesting to you in a way that it's like what you like is being perceived by so many more groups than it was originally intended for? In a way, once again, that should be flattery. People, I feel like, are too quick to jump on that and say, "You're a poser. You don't know about Metallica." Maybe she does know about Metallica, but maybe instead of going at her and being like, "Hey, you've never listened to Metallica. You can't wear that shirt." Like, "Hey, you're wearing that shirt. Maybe try out the music too." You know what I mean? Like, that's a way
yeah
to put people on. That's a way to like, I don't know. I think it's a way of growth. And once again, shout out to the designer of a Metallica T-shirt that could make a white girl like something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not something that she would like for its face value, but not something she would like for its actual value. But you managed to make it look such a way that she likes it anyways, and I think that's cool to me. Once again, I get why like diehard fans get upset about that sort of thing, but also I think they take it the wrong direction. Instead of just jumping at them, why don't you try and put them on the music as well? You know what I mean? Why don't you try and bring them into that world? If you're like, hey, if you like the
yeah
way that looks, you'll probably like the way this sounds. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I think that a lot of people are just on that train where they're like, hey, that's a thing that we do. Like, you're not, you can't sit with us, that type of thing.
Yeah. And that's just human nature, really. At the end of the day, people want to feel special. People want to feel like they're in a group, and when it doesn't feel that way to them, they're gonna get upset about it. And like I get that. I can't say I've never been a part of something like that. But also, once again, as I grow and mature, it's like you got to step back sometimes and look at the bigger picture. Like at the end of the day, it's a T-shirt. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not. It's not that deep. It really isn't. And like on the same idea of bootlegs right now, people just need to step back and realize like it's not. They're not trying to steal the idea and be negative. It's like if they like it the way it looks so much, they're just trying to put it on where they can have it, sort of thing. And obviously, once again, it rides that fine line between stealing and just copying versus making it their own. But like brands like I think Chinatown Market, they do a nice job of it. They're definitely on the line. They do a nice job keeping it there.
Yeah. I mean, like, that even kind of jumps over into like the whole discussion of like Weird Al. Like, it's parody, but like,
Yeah,
does
honestly,
the original artist like want this?
that's a really good comparison for it. Really, it's like maybe the original artist doesn't want that, but
Yeah, because
that's what they
like
got. They made a
you brought
catchy
up
song.
the
They had go ahead, go ahead.
no, you brought up the example of like the white girl in the Metallica T-shirt. Like, at what point does the people at Metallica say, "Hey, we just don't want this"? Because no one really turns down free advertising. No one's going to do that. They don't care who is buying the shirt. They just know that they're getting a check because they sold X amount of T-shirts.
For sure, and also like with the whole vintage band piece things, they're not even. It's not affecting them either way. Really, all they're doing is something out of landfill, and they're keeping it in the cycle. Really, instead of just letting that person's old tour T-shirt go to the garbage can, they're buying it from them and putting it on and giving it another life. And like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it's so much deeper than how people just look at it at face value.
yeah. So, kind of just to, I guess, wrap things up. Just I think we've covered quite a bit. It's been a good conversation. So like we've already touched on the direction that Akimbo Studio and all that is going. You want it to go at least, but after whether this gets kept up with everything else, or you move it on to someone else and it becomes their project, where do you want to see yourself in the fashion realm? Like, what is the ultimate self-actualization? Where do you see yourself?
The ultimate end goal, if I was living my dream life, I'd like for this brand to take off. I'd like to be able to travel the world, meet the people who've influenced me to be where I'm at, and really, I mean, just have fun with it. Be able to take care of my family, have a good time, and just be around the world of fashion. I love clothes. I love all that stuff. If I could leave my mark and just be able to experience that every day, that would really just be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and what do you think is going to be the hardest part about getting there?
The hardest part about getting there is that I don't know anybody. As an industry, it's a very I know a guy kind of industry. If you have an end, you have an end. If not, good luck. And that's where I have to make decisions here coming time going to college and stuff. What am I going to do? Am I going to take a route that gives me chances to make those connections, or how am I going to do this? Because it's definitely not the most probable route to take with my life. It's not something that I think I should probably bet everything on. As much as I love it, it could always just stay a passion project.
Yeah, yeah. But do you think
So I
that,
think the hardest part will be getting those initial connections and getting I guess it'll be getting over just having like basic consumers buying it. Yeah, I mean, like getting it into the world of people who are already in fashion, people who have influence. That will be the hardest part.
yeah, do you think that it's worth it to put the, I guess, passion part of that on hold until you make those connections?
Um, no, at the end of the day, I want to do something I love and something that fulfills me and something that makes me happy. And right now, I'm happy with it kind of just being on the side and just seeing where it goes. And when I feel like I want to make a design and put it out there, put it out there. I don't like the idea of keeping myself like, oh, I have this timeline. I have to put this kind of design out by this time. That's not how I like to
Yeah,
work. I'll put out a design when I'm feeling like the design should be there. You know what I mean? This design happened one night. I was supposed to be doing homework. I stayed up procrastinating, made this design, colored it in the next morning, and it was probably 3 or 4 hours total. And then it was on a t-shirt and ordered, or not t-shirt, a hoodie, and then ordered. I mean, it was
yeah.
like that's kind of just how I personally am.
You're
I'm a
looking at
very
like,
passionate.
yeah. So are you thinking about, when you come up with those designs? Because there's definitely times where you get, 5, 6 designs, and then you just have nothing.
Oh
Is it
yeah, there's
after
nights
you
I could
get said
design all
designs,
night.
or they're going? No, go ahead.
There's nights I could design all night long, and there's other times where it's like a whole week period where I feel like I couldn't draw a straight line. It's like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it kind of comes and goes, and I don't know. It's not something that I think I should bet everything on right now, but it's something that I could see going somewhere if I let it.
Do you think that if you get those designs, like if you have enough designs to support you for a while, because what's the lifetime on a hoodie? Like how long till the people are just like, okay, I'm over this design, I want something new? How long does that usually take?
That's all situational. I mean, there's some brands they use the same design for 30 years. There's other brands they have a different design every week. It's like that really comes down to your audience and then I guess really just the overall likability of your design. And what goes into that, I'm not really too sure. I don't know all of the sciences behind it, if you will. I just know I like making cool stuff and seeing it on people is even cooler.
Yeah, but like kind of what I'm getting at is, should you come up with, you know 8 designs, how long can like that support your market? You know what I mean? Because you don't have to be designing that whole time. There can be a point where you just don't have time for it, but you have these designs set aside, and you're just kind of able to pull from them, and still keep that, you know, the business side of it moving. You're just not
So
able to put as much into like design. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean with Wake Up I had like 4 designs I was sitting on and it'd be like I guess what you're trying to say is like release time, like when do I release new looks
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
So that'd
yeah,
be like with that, it was like every I'd say 1 to 3 months kind of range, and then I never even got everything out I had with Wake Up. But it's just like also then in that timeline though, you go from those 8 designs to you might end up only actually liking like 2 or 3. Because like for me, I struggle with liking my own work a lot. I could draw something that everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, I really love that," and I would sit there and look at it and tell you everything wrong with it, and just not love it. So
yeah.
for
And
me,
I
it's
feel
like
I relate to that.
things just have to. I mean, it just has to hit right and just kind of be in the moment. I don't know, like the brand, it kind of represents, like, I want to represent youth and like the freedom of it. It's something different I haven't had with any other brands. They're really just a lot of areas of life. Like, you don't always have that total freedom or creativity. This is entirely in our hands. Whatever we want to happen with it can happen. Whatever we want to release, we can release. And I don't know, I just enjoy that, like, freedom of it. And I think I'm kind of going to let it be, like, go with the flow, and what happens, happens with it kind of thing. Because I think if it's meant to work out, it'll work out if I do it how I want to. I'm not going to try and force it into something that is not, you know?
Yeah. So definitely, great conversation, all that. Where can people find you once again?
Right now, just come on Instagram. It's AKIMBO_studio. And that's where we're at right now. Eventually, I'm sure we'll go to Twitter, Facebook, whatever else is popular at the time. But for now, we're just on Instagram. We haven't been posting a lot lately. Things are slowed down, like I said, with the whole just the virus going around, and life's just a mess for all of us. And I don't want to try and move it too much far forward without being able to communicate with him as well. Because even though I have the freedom, I don't want to like feel like I'm abusing it. I want to be able to
Yep.
still make it a cohesive business. So right now, we're kind of just on a hiatus, just seeing where things are going to go. But it'll definitely be back. It's definitely not our last release.
Yep. And
And the original
your
hoodies are
link.
still for sale.
Yep.
So
Link is still up. Instagram.
yeah, the link's still in the Instagram bio. They're still for sale. They're made to order, so it's not like we're wasting anything if not. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, that's all I got for now. Just I guess we'll see where things go. It was a pretty good talk. I'd like to come back sometime. I enjoy this. Our conversations usually go somewhere.
Definitely a conversation we'll have where we just start out with nothing, kind of take it from there, see what happens. Be a
For
good
sure.
episode.
It'd be cool to see one day come back on. Maybe things are bigger. That'd be really interesting. Be able to reflect on stuff like this.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, man. Appreciate the opportunity a lot. Thank you for that.
Of course. Okay, that's Evan Tipton, everyone. Thank you for joining me this week on the Endgame podcast. Have a good night. See you in the next one.